This is Natsuki Subaru, a normal 17-year-old student who doesn't go to school with no special knowledge or skills. One day, he went to a grocery store to buy some chips and look at the happy couples outside. Couldn't be me. And then, when he was crossing the street on his way back home, he started to feel dizzy. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he was teleported to a medieval world. Oh my god, I'm on a real isekai and I didn't even have to die yet. Okay, after meeting a green-haired guy selling apples, he goes around the city, does some weird stuff, enters the woman's bathroom and gets slapped by a dog, and ends up in an alley where he meets 3 bandits. I'm the main protagonist and I'll defeat you. Take this! Oh, sorry, please forgive me. And oh, here's the girl that will save him. He gets bitten until a girl with silver hair arrives. She is looking for an item she lost, which seems to be of very importance. She ultimately saves Subaru from the bandits. My name is Natsuki Subaru and I'll help you. What's your name? You can call me Satan. This is not her real name, by the way, and even her cat got surprised when she said this. By the way, his name is Spock, and he's a very strong spirit, which works a 9 to 5 and just goes to sleep before they were even able to find the insignia the girl lost. Anyway, they eventually help the daughter of the Yappa guy and learn from him about the loot house. They arrive there, Subaru steps in and finds an old man dead on the ground with fresh blood all over the place, and before he could even react, he got his belly cut in half. Right after hearing weird noises, the girl steps in and gets scared as well. They both died? That's it? Yo, want some apples or not? Subaru, confused with the situation, starts running towards the loot house. He arrives there, but to his surprise, the man who was lying dead on the ground is now in perfect shape. The girl who stole the insignia also arrives there. Her name is Felt, and yeah, it's the same girl he saw in the alley. Anyway, he agrees on trading his phone for the insignia. However, the same black-haired woman he found before was there to negotiate, and Subaru manages to win. Or no, you are not going anywhere. She kills him. Yo, want some apples or not? He is completely blacked out after this event, and after the Yappa guy throws water on his face, he finds the silver-haired girl. Satella! Who the hell are you calling by the name of the witch? Are you crazy? Felt arrives and steals the girl's insignia. She immediately thinks Subaru was working with them and runs away. Subaru tries to follow her, but ends up in the same alley as before. There is no way y'all are trying this again, bro. 3 times? I'm out! Yo, want some apples or not? He died to those guys and finally figured out his one and only power, returned by death. After this, he goes again to the alley, but this time he calls for help. And for the irony of destiny, the strongest being in the world is there to save him, Reinhard von Astrid, the Sword Saint. He immediately befriends Subaru, and after that, he goes in search of Fel to negotiate for the insignia. After some time, he manages to win again. However, someone is knocking on the door. Subaru is in crazy fear, but when it opens again, it's just a silver-haired girl. She thinks he's trying to steal her insignia, but not soon after, the black-haired girl also arrives. By the way, her name is Elsa. She is super strong and has a bowel complex. She tries to attack the girl from behind, but Subaru calls out for Pac to help her. They fight for a bit until Pac runs out of energy. They get overwhelmed by the relentless attacks from Elsa. Felt runs away asking for help, and just as they were about to get killed, the strong red-haired guy arrives. He obliterates Elsa and everything's fine now. Oh no, Subaru is severely wounded and falls unconscious. In the meantime, Emilia heals him and plans to take him to her house, while Reinhard finds out that Felt is someone very important and takes her with him. Subaru wakes up, learns that he's in an enormous mansion. He opens a random door and finds a little drill-haired girl in a library. Her name is Beatrice, and she doesn't really like Subaru at first glance. She drains out his mana, which is basically a stock of energy, leaving him unconscious. Later he wakes up again and sees 2 twin mates, one with pink hair named Ram and one with blue hair named Ram. He also learns that he's in Emilia's house, which is a mansion of a tall clown named Russell, which seems to know way too much. They chat for a bit and Subaru asks to work for the mansion. He is absolutely terrible at every task he does. However, he's still happy to be working and asks Emilia on a date. She accepts it and he goes to sleep. However, he is sent back in time, not knowing what happened. He absolutely freaks out, but after some time he's able to cope with it and start everything over again. He does the exact same things, except now he took a bath with Roswell and Ram saw his sorry thing. Went to the village with Ram, which by the way is really suspicious of him and doesn't really like his presence for some reason. And on day 4, he didn't sleep in order to know how he had died. He starts feeling dizzy and barfing, feeling like he was about to die. He starts running towards Emilia's room, but gets his head crushed by some weird chain-like weapon. He didn't realize what happened just before. He decides not to ask to be a worker, but to live in a mansion for free, and eventually leaves on day 4 in order to see Emilia's room from a distance in an attempt to protect the girl from the attacker. However, he soon learns that the person who killed him before was Ram, as she was out to hunt and kill him. He starts running away and gets his leg cut off by some wind force magic. Ram beats him up, asking for who he is and what he wants from them, also claiming that he smells like the witch. He ultimately gets killed by a wind-like force which was sent by Ram. He goes back in time with his mind completely shattered and tries to tell Emilia about his powers. Emilia, I can return by... The time stops and his heart gets squished by a weird invisible hand. Time goes back again and Subaru screams in pain, asking Emilia to leave as he wanted to rest. He soon wakes up and sees Beatrice, the library girl. He asks her for help to stay in their library for a while and protect him. They make a contract and he spends the night sleeping in her library. However, Beatrice is called and leaves. Subaru goes after her and soon finds out that Ram, the blue-haired girl, had died for an unknown reason. Ram is desperate and for some reason everyone seems to blame him and think that he could help her. I wonder what the clown said to them. Anyway, his mind is completely broken. He starts running away from the mansion and ends up in a cliff. Beatrice follows him. They chat for a bit, and Subaru realizes that he's the only one that could help Ram survive, as despite all, he still liked both sisters. Ram soon arrives in immense anger, claiming that she would kill Subaru, but he jumps off the cliff in an epic scene. He goes back in time again, and is now ready to avoid any death and save everyone. After a lap pillow, he learns how curses work and goes to the village in order to get infected. He soon finds out that it was a dog placing the curse, and runs to the village with Ram to tell the villagers. All the kids went missing to the forest, and he goes in an attempt to save them. They soon find the kids, but one is missing, and while Ram heals them, Subaru goes in the search for the last one. He finds the last kid but gets attacked by a demon beast. Ram saves him, and they start running. However, he gets yet again attacked by the demon dogs and tries to save Ram. She gets brutally attacked, and the horn starts growing in her head. Ram was an Oni. She rampages through the demon beasts and Subaru gets scared, and trying to stop her, he gets bitten by lots of dogs, placing curses all over his body. Ram takes him to the village and goes back to the forest in order to kill all demon beasts and save Subaru from the curses. Subaru and Ram figure out that Ram was fighting demons all night long and go there to save her. She lost control of herself due to the overuse of her Oni powers. The only way to stop her would be with a swift blow on her horn. We also get to see a flashback about her past. It goes something like this. Ram and Ram were twins, a bad omen among the Oni clan, and are deemed to be executed. However, Ram was born super strong with the powers of the Oni god, and they both get spared. Ram grows super strong and Ram is weak, always falling behind her sister. However, they still loved each other more than anything in the world. But one day, their village was attacked by the witch cult, and Ram's horn was cut off, taking away all her powers. Ram blamed herself for being weak and feeling relief after seeing her sister's horn gone. After that, she tried relentlessly to fulfill her sister's role, claiming that she was an insufficient replacement. Subaru delivers a blow on her horn and Ram wakes up sometime after. Subaru tries to attack the dogs but fails, and he's saved by Roswell just before dying. He falls unconscious and wakes up to Ram holding his hand. Subaru tells her that she shouldn't compare herself to her sister as she was trying to replace her, but no one could replace Ram. Oh, and he also points that her chest is bigger than Ram's. Anyway, they have a good healthy talk and are now a couple. Just kidding. Okay, there is a movie in between the Arc 2 and 3 which adapts a side story called Memory Snow, with funny events like Konosuba references, Mayo bats, snow building competitions, drunk wives, and a little of explanation of lore and spirits. Anyway, moving on to Arc 3, an old man called Wilhelm and a femboy called Felix arrive at Roswell's manor, with some news about the royal selection. Subaru convinces Emilia to go with her to the capital, and he meets another candidate to the throne, Priscilla, and her knight, Aldebaran. By the way, this was not shown, but he's a very important character who also came from Japan just like Subaru. Oh, he also meets Julius, a royal knight, who he dislikes at first glance for kissing Emilia's hand. Emilia tells him not to go to the meeting, but he eventually goes with Priscilla. The other candidates present there are Anastasia and Crush, and we also learned that this meeting was held to present the new candidate, Felt, brought by Reinhardt, who took her custody after the events in the loot house. Priscilla doesn't like her, however. Emilia tries to protect Felt and gets called a half-devil by the nobles. They believe that a girl who possesses the same physical appearance as the Witch of Envy could never become the queen, which infuriates Subaru and makes him speak all nonsense to defend her in the middle of the meeting, claiming to be her knight. Julio views this as a disrespect to those who devote themselves to the kingdom, and in order to defend the knights, he steps in. And ultimately, Emilia refuses his position as her knight. They later engage in a battle proposed by Julius to prove his word as a self-proclaimed knight, and he beats the hell out of him. until they are stopped by Emilia herself. These events made Subaru's mental state utterly shattered, telling Emilia that she wouldn't be nothing without him, as Emilia confirms her debt with him, leaving him behind to heal his gate with Felix and ultimately breaking their relationship apart. Subaru is devastated with this and spends some days training swordsmanship with Wilhelm. The old man seems to have a big interest in Subaru's eyes, as he describes them as eyes that have seen death many times. Little does he know. In the meantime, his gate is being healed by Felix with the help of Ram, who stayed with him in the capital. We also see how Ram developed feelings for Subaru, taking care of him regardless of what he was passing through. Anyway, Subaru walks with Ram through the capital and meets the goat. Ram senses that her sister is experiencing strong emotions, and Subaru decides to go to the mansion in order to protect everyone, despite it breaking the contract Emilia formed with Crush. They take a carriage and stop at night in a village. Ram drains Subaru's mana and leaves him behind in order to protect him from danger, taking care of threats without harming Subaru, who when wakes up goes on a hurry to get back to the mansion. He finds a boy called Otto who takes him to Roswell's mansion, and walking there a group of mysterious people covered in black robes surround him, stare at him and leave without a trace. He goes to the village and what he sees is terrifying. The village is covered in blood. He runs in search for Ram and finds her dead on the ground with a knife on her head. Ram is also dead along with all the other kids, and he quickly runs to Emilia's room. With blood all over the place, he enters a secret room, a very cold one with frozen bodies. He tries to open the door and gets his fingers frozen until a voice is heard. "You are too late." Subaru is covered in ice and frozen to death in mere seconds. "Yo, you good?" Subaru returns in time and immediately embraces Ram, not letting her go. His mind is completely broken, in a state that he can't even move by himself. Felix tries to treat him, but he doesn't find any curse or instability on his mana. By the way, I didn't mention this, but the guy is the best healer in the world. After some time, Ram takes him to return to the mansion. However, in the middle of their way, they get attacked by the witch cult. Ram tries her best to protect Subaru, killing multiple cultists, but due to getting outnumbered, they manage to capture Subaru. Ram goes berserk after this, as they already took her sister's horn and now are taking her reason to die. Subaru is now chained up in a cave, and a very weird man presents himself. His name is Betelgeuse Romani Conti, one of the leaders of the witch cult, the Sinner's Bishop of Sloth. Their interaction is stopped when Ram arrives, trying to rescue Subaru, but she is quickly defeated and tortured by an invisible force, right in front of Subaru's eyes. He regains his consciousness, threatening Betelgeuse to his death, which ultimately leaves the place with his accomplices. However, even after having her body completely twisted, Ram still manages to drag herself towards Subaru and use her last train of energy to break the chain and declare her love for him, telling him to leave in a very emotional scene. Subaru takes her in his arms and finds his way to the mansion, where he sees a giant beast, Buck, slowly freezing him to death and everything in his vicinity. "Yo, you good?" Subaru, with his eyes filled with anger for revenge, takes Ram in his hand and goes to Crush's place asking for help. Crush, however, refuses, as she has no reason to believe his words and gains nothing from helping him, as she claims that Subaru is doing this only for the sake of Emilia. He also tries to ask for help from Priscilla, who also refused him, calling him a worthless pig. Eventually, Anastasia finds him and tricks him into giving information about Priscilla, Emilia, and Crush in exchange for a carriage. Subaru and Ram take the carriage as fast as they can and stop by a camp where they meet Otto again. Subaru's plan is to evacuate everyone from the village and mansion, so he contracts everyone there to help him. However, while on their path, people suddenly start disappearing and only Subaru remembers them. They soon find out that they are under the attack by a demon beast, the White Whale, and after some efforts to run, Ram decides to stall the whale while Subaru escapes. He obviously doesn't agree with the plan, but Ram knocks him out, and when he wakes up, Otto tells him what happened. In the middle of the conversation, Otto also forgets Ram's existence. Yeah, this whale has the ability to erase one's existence from the world. Subaru figures out that it's his fault for having the witches sent, and after hearing this, Otto pushes him out of the carriage to save himself. After running and collapsing, Subaru finds himself close to the mansion, where he finds Otto's dragon carriage and a knife with blood. Subaru goes to the village where he sees the kids, after collapsing again. When he wakes up, he confuses Ram with her sister, who was sitting right beside him, and after apologizing for her death, Ram also forgot Ram's existence. Subaru, in a desperate state, runs to Emilia's room and decides to tell her about Return by Death, but this time, his art is not squished, and Emilia dies instead. Beatrice then enters the room. Subaru asks her to kill him, she refuses it, and teleports him far away with their magic. And there, Betelgeuse and the witch cultists find him, and decide to torture Emilia's dead body. However, several ice shards start running towards the witch cult. It was Pac, the Great Spirit, who had a contract to destroy the world if Emilia was killed. Pac then freezes everyone to death, including Subaru. Yo, you good? Subaru has lost it all. He grabs Rem's hands and starts uncontrollably running through the city. Rem asks what happened, and they go to a place to talk more peacefully. It's there where Subaru asks Rem if she would like to run with him, far away to Kararagi, one of the 4 great nations of ReZero and supposedly safer than Lagunica. However, Rem doesn't really get why Subaru wants to do this, and after reciting what happens in the slothy for a couple minutes, she says that they can't run. Subaru then freaks out, blaming himself for being weak and selfish, and Rem patiently watches him rant about how miserable he was. So, you done? Well, I just want to say I love you unconditionally. You are my hero, and my hero would never run. It doesn't suit you. Jokes aside, after giving the most beautiful speech to humankind and kind of rejecting each other, Subaru now is filled with determination and energy to overcome everything that was going on, so Rem could be proud of him. They go on to talks with the Crush and Anastasia's camps and eventually gather a battalion to fight the White Whale. By the way, the old man Wilhelm seeks revenge for this beast as it killed his wife, or at least that's what he heard. They go to the same place where the whale first appeared, and using Subaru's phone, they know exactly at what time it should appear. They are ready for battle, and boom, defeated? Nah, it couldn't be that easy. The whale just cloned itself. Subaru has an incredible idea of making himself the pawn, throwing himself from the air to attract the main whale with his miasma. They use the giant Flugels tree to trap the whale, and now Wilhelm destroys it with all his might in another beautiful scene resembling his past with his wife, ultimately avenging her. After Subaru confesses his love to Rem, oh, you don't remember that? God damn, how many things got chopped off the novels and made everyone hate this innocent guy. It's Giguk's fault though. She eventually is left with Crush and other severely wounded people. Why would they do this? Subaru still has to defeat the Archbishop of Slaw that will now show up close to the mansion, and he is left with some troops including Felix, Ricardo, Wilhelm, and even others join him, like Julius. Subaru is still bitter because of the beating he took, but they accept to work together. They go ahead to find Betelgeuse. Subaru finds him and easily tricks him into letting his guard off, getting cut by Wilhelm. However, this was not enough to kill the guy, as he still had fingers he could possess. They eventually killed his finger and head to the village so they could evacuate the people there. As they were entering the mansion's domain, they were stopped by a random illusion. That was Rum with a flower. She apparently got an empty letter that signified war. You don't even know why this thing was empty. But anyway, Subaru explains it and they head to the village. There, Felix kills one finger that was disguised as a villager, but it was hiding many crystals inside his carriage that exploded. An attack on the village started upon this explosion, and even Emilia came to help. However, Subaru starts to feel dizzy and runs towards the forest. He got possessed by Betelgeuse, and fighting for his body, asked Julius and Felix who followed him to end his life. And that's what Felix does. Subaru returns to the point where they were planning the attack, and Subaru tells more about the enemy's powers. Now they have to eliminate all the fingers before killing Betelgeuse, and find some way to dispose him of Subaru's body at the end. They avoid Rum's attack, evacuate the village, kill all the fingers and Subaru along with Julius, ultimately defeat Betelgeuse's main body. As he tries to take on Subaru's body, he uses his own punishment of return by death to kick Betelgeuse out of his body. However, the guy still didn't die, and as Subaru heads to the carriage with the magic stones to avoid the explosion, along with Otto, who was captured by the witch cult but eventually got saved by the knights, finally defeats Betelgeuse with the help of Julius' spirit. He also succeeded in avoiding the explosion and ended up in Emilia's lap pillow, declaring his love for her. Sometime later, Subaru has to tell Emilia about Rem's situation, as yeah, the guy wants to marry both. But Emilia asks the infamous question, who's Rem? Yeah, basically Rem and Crush got attacked by 2 Sinner's bishops, Regulus Cornus who's literally untouchable, and Leibatenkaitos who ate Rem's name and memories, leaving her in a suspended animation, making everyone forget about her existence, and Crush's memories as well. Subaru runs in search for Rem, eventually finding her, killing himself in hope to save her by repeating the events. However, he got teleported to the carriage. It was impossible to save her. After some crying, Subaru has now another objective, saving the girl who saved him. After some discussions with the newly amnesic Crush, our group notices that half of the evacuated villagers have not returned to their homes. They are all at a place called Sanctuary, where both Ram and Roswell also are. Upon taking Ram to the mansion, they meet Frederica, a former maid who had left for personal reasons and is now back due to Ram's losing her name. And also a new maid was recruited, Petra, Also, Subaru learns that Beatrice has a weird book similar to the Gospel from the witch cult, which makes Subaru suspect her. Frederica gives Emilia a weird blue magic stone sent by Roswell, and they head to the sanctuary along with Otto. However, when they enter the forest, Subaru notices something weird on the stone and immediately takes it off of Emilia. Emilia collapses and Subaru gets teleported to a weird place. He enters there and is suddenly teleported to an empty garden with a white-haired woman waiting for him. This is Echidna, the Witch of Greed. She is making a tea party and Subaru serves himself, sipping the tea in a gulp. But you probably know where she got that tea from. It supposedly had an effect on the witch factor of sloth Subaru acquired upon defeating Betelgeuse. They chat for a bit and the woman seems to be really interested in Subaru. However, time to wake up. Bye bye, see you later in the trial. Subaru wakes up and sees Otto laying on the ground. He was attacked by Garfield, the shield of the sanctuary, as he thought they were intruders. Subaru calls Frederica's name. They are brothers, and Garfield realizes who they are. They head to the center of the sanctuary. Roswell is all wrapped up in bandages. I wonder what this guy is planning. Anyway, they learn that this place was a barrier that does not allow demi-humans to leave, so they are basically trapped there, unless a demi-human himself goes under the 3 trials of the sanctuary, and Emilia is the one supposed to take them. At night, she eventually goes there to take the trial, and Subaru goes after her because he wanted to. By the way, this thing supposedly rejects anyone that is not a demi-human, but Echidna gave him a pass last time they met because she wants to talk to him. Anyway, the first trial shows you the past. Subaru wakes up on his bed and we are introduced to his father Kenichi and mother Naoko. They are really good parents and a healthy family. However, Subaru doesn't want to go to school as his self-confidence is below 0. As a kid, he used to be good at everything, but as he grew up, shadowed by his father's name, he would often be compared to him. Subaru hated this and tried to stand out in many different ways, but he would always end up in the same comparison. Eventually, his father and him go on a walk and Subaru realizes that, in this new world, people liked him because he was Natsuki Subaru and not the son of Kenichi. He also tells his father that he suddenly got 2 lovers and cries in another beautiful emotional moment. Subaru decides to go to school and his mother accompanies him. Subaru feels extremely guilty for not saying goodbye before he left to the convenience store and got teleported. So after hearing some really important words from his mother, he gets his opportunity to say goodbye. As he opens the door of his class, Echidna is standing there. She is surprised by how fast he was, and even though this was only an imaginary scenario made out of Subaru's memories, he thanks Echidna for letting him see his parents for one last time. Subaru wakes up from the trial and notices Emilia crying and suffering. She soon wakes up in panic. She couldn't face her past. By the way, she's also feeling bad because her cat does not show up anymore. He takes Emilia to her room and goes on a chat with Roswell about the events of the White Whale and Betelgeuse. This guy seems to know way too much. Subaru also asks about Beatrice's book and Roswell denies a relation with the witch cult. He also tells him to rely on Beatrice. Subaru goes back to the mansion in order to find out why Frederica gave him that weird stone and gets his belly cut off once again. Elsa is alive and going on a rampage over the mansion. He goes back to the moment he woke up after the first trial and now plans to act quickly and avoid the mansion's attack. They undergo the same events, but this time Subaru takes Ram to the mansion some days before the attack. They arrive there and learn that Frederica did not plan anything against them. But soon after, the Bowel Hunter arrives days earlier. They try to fight her, but get quickly overwhelmed by her endless regeneration. And also, a lot of demon beasts are in the mansion. Subaru eventually ends up in Beatrice's forbidden library after all of his friends die and asks her to kill him. She instead heals him, and they have an intense discussion about Beatrice only following what the book says. Elsa finally finds him and finishes him off, going back in time again. This time, Subaru tries to learn more about the pink-haired small elf. This is a being made by Echidna named Ryozu. She can't smell miasma, and as Subaru died multiple times, he's covered in the witch's scent, which makes him really suspect and both Garfield and her plan to trap him. However, Subaru gets saved by Otto 2 days later. Along with Ram, they try to escape the sanctuary, but are stopped by the immense power Garfield held, which made it impossible for them to escape. Garfield ends up killing Otto, and Subaru gets teleported once again by the magic stone. He collapses and wakes up finding himself in a field of snow. Oh, such a cute bunny. Huh? My hand? He gets eaten alive, bit by bit. By the way, this death is so creepy in the novels, reading it is just painful. Anyway, he dies and gets teleported again to the witch's garden. Echidna has access to his memories, and Subaru eventually is able to go all out and say the words he had held for so long. I can return by death. Without any consequence? We will get there. Anyway, Subaru asks if there is a way to defeat the rabbits. By the way, they are one of the 3 great beasts, along with the white whale and the black serpent. Echidna tells him that she would allow him to talk to the creator of these beasts, the Witch of Gluttony. However, another witch, the Witch of Pride, appears instead. Her name is Typhon, a small little girl that literally tears his arm apart and makes him shatter. Then Crazy Diamond, I mean Minerva, the Witch of Wrath, heals him with her punches. And finally, he gets to meet the Witch of Gluttony, Daphne. She tells him that the Great Rabbit is attracted by mana, and despite their number, they all share the same mind. Echidna is back and touches the band that Petro gave him. This will be useful later. Anyway, Subaru wakes up and finds everything covered up in shadows. The Witch of Envy, Satella, is rampaging over the sanctuary because Subaru broke the rule of return by death. After Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V I love yous for like the entire episode, she eventually ends up covering Subaru in her shadows. However, this did not kill him, and he had to use the band, which turned into a sharp tool to end his own life and get back in time. Subaru wakes up in tears, and Emilia helps him get up. This time, Subaru learns even more about ReZero and their clones, and also about Roswell and Echidna. He leaves at night with his fellow dragon, Patrash, and now tries to ask Beatrice for help. We learn that Beatrice's book is empty, and she's solely waiting for that person. She does not believe in Subaru, and refuses his help, asking him to end her life. Eventually, Elsa arrives there, and they start running away, but are stopped by the Demon Beast user, Melee. Yeah, the same girl that was there in Season 1 controlling the dogs. Beatrice quickly overwhelms Elsa, but listen, this woman survived the whole blast from Reinhardt. She certainly wouldn't die for this. And boom, kills Beatrice, but before Elsa could finish Subaru, Beatrice teleports him to the sanctuary. Subaru tries to find Emilia, and she is there, however, completely out of her mind. Subaru runs for answers, and together with Garfield and Ram, they try to speak to Roswell. Roswell kills both Garfield and Ram, and we soon learn his whole plan. He knows that Subaru somehow has the power to redo things, and he doesn't even feel guilty about his friend's death. After beating the shit out of Subaru, he gets eaten by the rabbits. Subaru barely escapes the demon beasts, dying on the lap of Emilia due to blood loss, following the kiss of death. This time, Subaru decides that he will do the trials by himself, so Emilia doesn't end up like that. And the second trial shows him something terrifying. Subaru goes through every single scenario of his death, showing what happened every single time that he died. He wakes up with his mind completely broken, but soon hears a familiar voice. Ram, the girl who has been unconsciously sleeping, is right there, in front of Subaru to save him. She tells him that he had done enough, and to leave everything for her. And right before kissing him, Subaru realizes that this is not a real Ram, as she would never let him give up. This was a witch of lust, Carmilla, who was taking Ram's form. Subaru gets once again teleported to the tea party, and Echidna offers him a contract that she should lead him to the right path. However, this is not as good as you are thinking, and they are soon interrupted by Minerva and all other witches. This is Sekhmet, the Witch of Sloth, by the way. After a whole rant about Echidna, Subaru kindly denies the contract because of what she did to Beatrice. Soon after, the last witch shows up, Satella, the Witch of Envy. Subaru loses his mind after seeing her, blaming himself for being weak and blaming her for the power she gave him, and all the suffering he was going through, dying over and over again so no one would suffer. And that's when Satella tells him that he should love himself and value his own life, despite his authority. Subaru finally realizes that he should not use his death as the only path to fix problems, and vows to save Satella before waking up again. He tries to go to the third trial, but is rejected by the barrier, so his only option is to talk to Roswell. He learns that Roswell planned everything, from the attack on the mansion and the snowstorm to make Emilia lose her mind. So he quickly tries to run to the mansion to fix things alone, but Otto shows up to help him in a very friendly manner. After telling Otto about every single thing that would come, they set a plan to save everyone. Otto buys time from Garfield, who was opposed to freeing the sanctuary as he feared the outside world because of his past, while Subaru, after a whole speech about how much he loved Emilia, finally makes her overcome her trauma and face the trial. We also learn more about Otto's past and his divine protection that allowed him to talk with the animals. Subaru then confronts Garfield and ultimately defeats him using his invincible providence for the first time, and with the help of Petrash. Upon his defeat, Garfield admits his loss and goes to face his past in the first trial. He previously believed that his mother abandoned him and his sister to find happiness, but this time he actually learns that she had died in an accident. He successfully overcomes his past, and it's also revealed that this super strong boy is literally 14 years old. And now it's Emilia's turn to finally face the first trial. She meets Echidna, who seemed to really dislike her presence, and then we see all of her past. This is Fortuna, Emilia's auntie who acted more as her mother figure. Emilia doesn't really like to be close at home. And oh, Fairy showed me an escape route. Emilia goes to the center of the Elder Forest and sees a tall guy in a black robe. This is Betelgeuse. Yeah, that one guy, it's him, in his normal state. Let's call him by Goose. Goose leads the moderate faction of the witch cult, who regularly brought clothes and food to the Elder Forest. Goose and Fortuna are really close. Like, really close. Fortuna is also the guardian of the seal, and Emilia wonders what exactly the seal is. So the lesser spirits, totally not controlled by a certain someone, show her the way to the seal. It's this weird big door. On her way home, she accidentally meets a Goose, who sheds in tears upon seeing her. Now Fortuna and Goose would regularly go out with Emilia, but one day, the bad guys appeared. Pandora, the Witch of Vainglory, and Regulus, leader of the radical side of the witch cult and Sinner's Bishop of Greed. They came to open the seal and brought some friends to the party, like the poison from the Black Serpent. For this purpose, they need Emilia, as she has the key to open it. Goose tries to protect her so Fortuna and Emilia can flee, and he absorbs the witch factor of sloth, given him by the sage Flugel. However, the factor is incompatible with his body and starts to drive him mad and make him cry blood from his eyes. He also gains his invisible hands, but despite his new power, he is quickly overwhelmed by Regulus. Fortuna comes back to the battlefield. Regulus gets extremely pissed off and tries to kill Pandora. But nah, you ain't doing that. Go back home. This pale girl just rewrote her own death and the location of Regulus? Insane ability. Meanwhile, Emilia tries to run from the Black Serpent's poison. One touch from it and you are infected by a billion different diseases, and you'll die in seconds. Archie, one of the elves, dies with his poison while trying to run with her. Then Emilia remembers what Pandora said, and in an attempt to save the village, she goes to the seal to do the favor to the witch. And yeah, Pandora is right there waiting for Emilia. She tries to manipulate Emilia into opening the seal, but she ends up refusing it, as she promised her mother figure she wouldn't do it. Fortuna then reaches the seal and furiously attacks Pandora, being in shock that Emilia is there, but also happy she kept her promise. But then, Goose arrives and Pandora uses her ability to trick him into killing Fortuna, which drives him completely mad. Emilia, enraged with the situation, starts rampaging and killing Pandora multiple times, but she always comes back, rewriting the reality. Everything in the vicinity starts freezing due to Emilia's immense power and rage, freezing herself in the process, along with the entirety of the Elder Forest. Pandora then flees along with Betelgeuse and persuades him to take the seat of sloth within the witch cult. Emilia now stays like this for a century until she unmelts and meets Puck. Emilia now completes the first trial. Ram asks Emilia to help her save Roswell from the witch control, the book, and we get a flashback to how the sanctuary was created and how Roswell fell for Echidna. It takes place 400 years ago when a boy named Roswell A. Matters is suffering from mana overload and gets saved by a white-haired woman named Echidna in a rather not family-friendly fashion. After that, Roswell is taken under Echidna as her apprentice, and we also see two of Echidna's creations, Beatrice and Ryuzu Meyer. Beatrice is a spirit who sees Echidna as her mother, and Ryuzu is an entity created with mana that would unsuccessfully serve as a vessel for Echidna's soul transcription. They were pretty much a happy family that lived in a sanctuary, a place Echidna was building to protect herself from a certain someone, and that same person arrived at the sanctuary before it was done. It's the Warlock of Melancholy, Hector. Echidna quickly notices this, and Roswell offers himself to stall him until Echidna finds a solution. Roswell gets absolutely destroyed by this guy, and Ryuzu offers herself as the catalyst to cast a barrier that will trap the opponent, and she then merges with the magic stone, leaving Beatrice behind. Beatrice then is left in the Forbidden Library as the protector of the place. Echidna will write down all of her knowledge there. Back to the present, Ram confronts Roswell along with Puck, and Subaru needs to act quickly to protect the mansion. So he, Garfield, and Otto go in a rush to get there. And in case you are wondering, yeah, Garfield can leave the barrier, as his blood is not 50-50, as a normal demi-human would be. Anyway, they arrive there right before Elsa starts rampaging through the mansion. Garfield takes Elsa, Frederica goes to rescue Ram, and Subaru, Otto, and Petra try to stall Millie's witch beasts. They incinerate the mansion in the process, and Subaru goes in a rush to find Beatrice and take her out of the library. Garfield then is able to defeat Elsa, and after multiple attempts, Subaru finally finally convinces Beatrice to leave the mansion, making her choose him as the person she would help. Now they formed a contract that allows Beatrice to utilize the mana from Subaru's gate. Beatrice uses her teleport magic to quickly go to the sanctuary to fight the Great Rabbit. They make up a plan of gathering all the bunnies using Subaru's signature miasma, and with the help of Emilia, they finally entrap the beast with Ultra Mag, a magic that sends them to a pocket dimension. By the way, before this happened, Emilia had also taken the second trial, where she faced an unthinkable present, basically an idealized version of a happy life with her cute adoptive parents. Here, she also sees her own reflection for the first time in a while, as her contract with Puck didn't allow Emilia to look in the mirror, in order to prevent her from reminding herself she was the alpha. She also faced the third trial, where she faced multiple futures, and I would love to theorize every single line we got to hear, but we gotta leave that for another video. She is also sent to the Witch's Tea Party, where Minerva would interact with her, in a very emotive way. Roosevelt was also defeated by Puck and Rum, who burned his gospel and declared their twisted love for him. Emilia then breaks the barrier that trapped the demi-humans, finally freeing the sanctuary and meeting a kidnapped corpse. Roosevelt and Beatrice also go there, and Roosevelt tells her he was the same person she was around 400 years ago, as he possessed all of his descendants' bodies with the sole purpose of reviving his teacher. He then gets punched and slapped by everyone and is now unable to betray them, as a curse would incinerate his soul if he did so. By the way, this thing would be engraved in Subaru if he lost his vet with him, which would put him under the clown's control. By the way, Emilia thought she was pregnant because of the kiss, and the anime ends with Subaru being elected as Emilia's official knight, in a very happy moment of the two dancing in a ceremony. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and like this video. It helps me a lot. Also leave a comment to help the engagement, and I see you later in the next one.